welcome to the Digital Pivot to Asia, an initiative organized by the Observer Research Foundation and CNBC TV 18. I'm Malvika Jain. The internet has become a critical resource for businesses, governments, and individuals. And India, being at the center stage of the digital economy, has a critical role to play in internet governance. But what is interesting is that not many people are aware of internet governance rules in India, and for that matter, the government still does not have a clear roadmap when it comes to internet governance. The Digital Pivot to Asia, the initiative that is being conducted today, seeks to create a platform where Indian leadership and global institutions can share their thoughts, ideas, and debate issues pertaining to internet governance in India. I'd now like to call upon Fadi Shehade, the President and Chief Executive Officer of ICANN, which is a not-for-profit public benefit corporation with participants from all over the world dedicated to keeping the internet secure, stable, and interoperable.
Hello, everyone. First of all, India is central to what the internet is on a global level. I know everyone speaks about digital India, but digital world without digital India simply loses its digital label. India is not simply getting into the digital world. India is already an incumbent, a driver in the digital world, in every sense of the word. The internet is growing. I just heard from His Excellency, you passed 300 million users in this country, and probably reaching the 500 note not too far from now, at the speed you're going. I heard you're adding 7 million people on the internet monthly. Nobody can match these numbers today in a democratic, open society like yours. And therefore, I left India in October 2013. And I also had just visited with President Rousseff in Brazil. And with your wind in my sail, I went back to the US and discussed with US leaders that the model of US oversight of my institution is simply not sustainable. And I'm happy that you all know by now that a few months later, on March 14th of 2014, the White House, with support from the White House and the various US agencies, including the State Department, the US government announced that after 17 years of oversight of ICANN since our inception, they intend to end that regime. Now is the moment of India, not just on every front. Your leader has made clear, His Excellency Prime Minister Modi, but also in how the digital economy is governed. This year, the digital economy will reach $4.2 trillion in the G20 economies. This is a quarter of the economy of the United States. Just the digital economy. And I'm not speaking about the internet's effect on every other part of the economy, just the digital economy. Now, who is driving much of that digital economy? Back to India. Back to India. Indian minds, Indian businesses, and India's leadership. I invite you today, and the reason I'm here, to fill your due role, not just for digital India, because the internet is not just around national borders. The internet is a global resource, but it is also a national resource. And we need to find a balanced approach to govern the internet that respects the national boundaries and at the same time respects the fact that the internet is transnational. It needs a polycentric model, a distributed model of governance where we all participate, respecting the force of this river, because it is unstoppable and it will change everything. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Fadi. Internet indeed is an unstoppable force. I'd now like to call upon a man who needs no introduction. He's a noted parliamentarian. In the past, he has served as the Minister for Coal and Mines, for Information Broadcasting, for Law and Justice. Ladies and gentlemen, please join your hands to welcome Mr. Ravishankar Prasad, the Minister for Communications and IT.
Let me begin at the very outset by making a very candid comment. India after 26th of May 2014 is a different country. Not in the traditional sense, but as far as the work culture is concerned. As far as ideas are concerned and as far as the implementation of ideas are concerned. That's what we are trying to develop in a very defined roadmap. When I see Mr. Fade, it's very important to be noted. When India came on the internet stage, 3 questions were asked of Indian companies. Can you do it? Can you give a quality product? Can you give a product in time? And can you compete? These were the 4 questions always thrown at Indian companies. But I salute the Indian internet companies that they gave a fitting reply to all these questions of doubt by their sheer quality of work in time, and they became business leaders in the world. Therefore, internet operations in business has changed the very image of brand India. An important player on the international stage of internet governance. I'm happy that USA has decided that the entire oversight mechanism must end by September or by the year end. What shall be the future architecture? We are discussing, we are debating. A lot of inputs are coming. Since it is in a stage of evolution, I will have to await my final call on this. But certain general observations I can surely make. What are those general observations? 1, it must be equitable, must be effective. Because internet is one of the finest creations of human mind, but it cannot become the prerogative of the few. And if the internet has to become global, it must have a link with the local. That is how I see it. But yes, it has to be effective, available. The second is, no one can claim of early arrival advantage. What someone has very poetically called the tyranny of incumbency. Okay? Yes, you are there, we salute you, but now it is a property of the world. Therefore, you cannot claim a preeminence only because you arrived early. Thirdly, it must be open. It must be interoperable. That is not to be compromised. When we talk of open internet, in India we are very clear, we fully support the freedom of speech and expression. We have under Article 19 of the Constitution, the freedom of speech is the fundamental right, subject to reasonable restrictions like security, public order, and lot of things which is also a part of fundamental right. Therefore, internet access, the way social media is working in India, our Prime Minister has one of the biggest following on social media in the world, that we promote. But having said that, there is one issue I would like to flag. Question of security is equally important. We in India are suffering a lot of threat of terrorism, of extremism. And internet, being a finest creation of human mind, is also being abused by few to foment trouble, communal hatred, terrorism. Surely, the state will have some role there. Therefore, any future architecture must recognize this role of the state. Because that is an obligation or a duty we owe to the citizens of the country for security, to make their life secure. Because we always remember, freedom can exist only when it is a secure atmosphere. Next is the issue of technology. Yes, technology agnostic should be the regime. Anyone cannot claim to be a monopoly over technology. That, and as I said, it should not be interoperable as well. Then comes the question of jurisdiction. Who will be the boss as far as jurisdiction is concerned? That's the question which keeps on troubling us. I think you need to consider it positively, that the jurisdiction should not also become a monopoly of the few. The world is different. The world is expanding. People of the world are increasingly claiming to have a stake over this fine creation of human mind, namely the internet, connectivities. Yes, Mr. Father, let me say in conclusion, India is an exciting country. An internet experience in India is going to be further exciting. Surely the world can emulate.